today. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot calling for an insurrection over something that hasn't even happened. Joe Biden calls for Republicans to do something about inflation, because I guess he doesn't realize he's the president and everything. And Biden's new Ministry of Truth czar says CRT in public schools is just disinformation, which is weird because we have the proof that that's not actually true. But we'll get into all of that and more, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the News and Why It Matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez. We've got a full table today. I am joined by BlazeTV contributors, both Jankowicz, host of The Bottom Line, and Eric July, host of For Cannon's Sake. And it's always a pleasure to be joined by good friend of the program, Jesse Kelly, host of The Jesse Kelly Show, who I'm surprised that they were able to, get your entire body in the frame because Jesse is a giant.
Dude, I'm not a giant. 6'8", I'm above average. Now, I'm a giant talent. That's how I like to put that, but not necessarily a giant per se.
Yeah, this guy is, I'm like, you're host of Jesse Kelly Show, you do so many things. He's like, yeah, well, I'm a top 5 napper. So
you literally said that before the show.
He did. We did get into napping a lot.
Well, I am a top 5 napper. I'm a top 5 napper, and I'm the menu whisperer. So you could Jesse Kelly Show secondary when you can go to sleep anywhere. I could lay down on this floor right here and take a nap right now.
That actually is a very good talent,
Thank
especially
you.
this day and age. People are so connected they can't. All right, I guess we'll get to the real news of the day. Whatever. So the Supreme Court protesters were at it again, even after, of course, I know you guys are shocked, even after Joe Biden's soft condemnation of all of these people after he let it all happen over the weekend. Last night, leftist protesters made their way to Justice Alito's house and held speeches outside. Here's a little bit of that.
Keep abortion safe and legal. Keep abortion safe and legal.
I noticed they took out that rare.
Has nothing to do with children or protecting life, but everything to do with control, misogyny, patriarchy, and sexism. That's right. Woo! And for all those Bible thumpers out there, fun fact, the Bible does not say anything about life starting at conception. The only time the Bible mentions abortion is when it's describing when it should be done and how it should be handled and how it should be performed. And Numbers 5:11 to 31. So for all those people who use the Bible and use religion to try and force their ideals on other people's bodies, this one's for you. Take a look in your Bible and see for yourself.
This woman has never opened a Bible in her life.
Yeah.
I think it's very safe to say. Never opened a Bible in her life. I want to hear from you guys on this, but I also want to throw into the equation here. Lori Lightfoot tweeted out last night, this is, of course, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, Beetlejuice herself. She tweeted out a call to arms. She said, it's amazing how far they're taking this particular, by the way, draft opinion. This has not the law of the land yet. She tweeted, to my friends in the LGBTQ plus community, the Supreme Court is coming for us next. This moment has to be a call for arms, which is weird because I was also told that they were coming after interracial marriage next. So I don't know which one the Republicans are going to take up. Probably none of them, because none of it is true. But a recent report does show that the court's opinion of Roe has remained unchanged since the riots. In fact, if these justices have any balls at all, I feel like they will come in more forceful after seeing all of the threats on their lives just for trying to do their jobs. Jesse, you're never here, so I wanna go to you first. Weigh in on all this.
Well, I should be first. You know, I do think it is funny.
I knew I would forget this.
Well, yeah, I'm refreshed. I'm ready to go.
All right.
I do think it is funny how there's so little support for this pro-abortion thing. They had to immediately try to include the LGBTQ mob in there, as if anybody's trying to stop Lori Lightfoot from doing what she does. No one cares, right? And interracial marriage too. No one on the Republican side cares about this at all. At least since that Tyra Banks swimsuit issue, nobody cares about interracial marriage. Sarah's Mexican, and we're all happy with that. None of this stuff
Married
matters.
to a white man.
But they don't have the support for this. It's actually a good sign of where we are for abortion in the country. They don't have the support for pro-abortion. So
Totally
you automatically got to try to, let's lump this in. Climate change. Hey, you guys too. They try to lump it in because no matter what, they've tested the poll numbers on this. They know they've gotten so out of bounds on abortion up until birth. I mean, I'm radically pro-life, so it's easy for me.
Past birth, brother.
Abortion, post-birth abortion, most Americans are rightfully horrified by these things. They know that, so they're just trying to cobble together a bunch of stuff. And then you have that harpy you just played on TV with the mask on, sitting out in front of someone's house saying it's not biblical. This reeks of desperation, and I think the public's taking it as desperation. So I think this is a great win if it turns out to be for us, and I'm happy.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, like this odd stance by way of leftists and this whole literally it has nothing to do with choice or control of their own bodies. It's literally a pro-abortion position. Like, I think we can say that that's exactly what it is. And I think as more technology grew, and you remember that story that we covered here as well. I can't remember what organization ended up getting in trouble where they uncovered that, some of these fully formed babies were being, being aborted. Like, when you see something like that, and, it's not even that old, he's like, it's hard to deny that you're dealing with an actual child here. And I think more people have come around to that as they become more and more radicalized in their regards. Now, it is weird to hear these guys talk about the Bible in that stance, especially considering that I think, especially on this issue, it's not as black and white as the Christians versus the atheists or something like that. It has nothing to do with any of that, because there's so many people that would deem themselves more on the side of pro-life that are atheists or agnostic or even belong to other religions. It's odd, or it's a meme version of the argument that they formulated in their own heads, which is why they assume that, this person must also want to come for interracial marriage because reasons. I don't guess Clarence Thomas isn't in an interracial marriage or anything like that. I guess that has nothing. But it's weird. They're grasping for straws. They're trying to get some sort of support. They're saying, well, hey, they're attacking us. They're gonna get you next. And it's like, who in the hell is advocating for any of what you? Oh, wait a minute. You know that you're on the wrong side of this now. Unlike maybe we have ever been in recent history, and they're feeling it's hot right now. So they got to try to grasp for all of these different straws.
I want to get your thoughts, Yaku, but I want to throw in here, speaking of Lori Lightfoot, she tweeted out that the LGBTQIA2 plus community was under attack. She also, I mentioned, they keep going back and forth with the interracial marriage. She also later on MSNBC, she did mention the interracial marriage and claimed that actually is going to be the one that is next. Let's listen to her.
If you look at that draft opinion and you look at the appellants' briefs and the amici in support of the appellants, they're going after every right that has been recognized that arises from a right of privacy, whether it's a right to contraception, the right for same-sex marriage, interracial marriage. We're expecting, frankly, an explosion of new cases from women in Wisconsin, Missouri, potentially Michigan, Indiana. I think the list is long, and Chicago is going to be an oasis in the Midwest, and we've got to be ready.
I've seen what some of these women look like. I very much respect their right to privacy in their bedroom. I don't want to know anything about any of that.
Let me tell you in the most tactful way that I can do it, okay? Because I can't use expletives. What you just viewed is called verbal diarrhea. That's verbal diarrhea. That's coming out of the mouth when it can't come out of the backside. That's what that is. Look. The conversation of the day, and I believe we're missing the conversation, not us here, but the societally. We're talking about a women's rights, and we're talking about a breach of the Supreme Court and the Constitution. Yes. You're still talking about the life of a human being. You're talking about, I just did a show, first, second, third term. If you go 4D imaging now in first term, if you look at the image and you do not say that's a human being, you are certifiably insane. This is not even a debate to be had, right? So this is the most self-centered, self-righteous, selfish movement you've ever seen in life. I want to royally screw up. I want to sleep with anything with two legs. They do. Have baby mamas all over the place and have no accountability. I want to take my oopsie and have a quick fix by taking the life of a child, right? This is what it's about. It's about a self-centered movement, which is everything they're about. It's about them. The Me Too movement became a self-centered movement. They hijacked it. Every policy they've got, they'll throw the race card when it benefits them. They'll say now all of a sudden interracial marriage marriage, which nobody's talking about, when it benefits them. It's a victim mentality. Lori Lightfoot and all the women, all of a sudden she can be a woman now. She's a woman. They just remember it real quick. Look, no, it's verbal diarrhea. It's a joke. Roe v. Wade's going to be overturned by the Supreme Court. It's going to happen. The states are going to rule on this. You're going to see conservative states like Oklahoma that just last week passed their heartbeat bill. They brought it down to 6 weeks from 15. They're now moving on a bill to go to conception, right? You're going to see Texas come down, and then you're going to see California will go after birth, which they want 28 to 60 days after birth, right? And then you're going to see a migration of people going from Texas to go get abortions all over the place, and the states are going to rule. And this conversation is going to continue for a very long time because it's a moral conversation. A law does not make Jesse Kelly value life. Even if we abandon abortion today, it doesn't make you value life. You as an individual have to look and say, does life intrinsically have value or does it not? Or will I be willing to play God and decide when? Because you know what I'll say about them? They say we're coming for interracial marriage. Let me tell you what they're going to do. They're going to come tell you that the elderly is a burden to society, like China did. They're going to tell you if you're 85 and your grandma's 85 in a wheelchair, like they did in COVID. Like Cuomo said, send them all to the kill camps. They're going to come tell you, well, maybe those people don't have, because where we start in life, we end. You start life completely vulnerable for somebody to take care of you, and you end life completely vulnerable for somebody to take care of you. And if we can't do that, we're not a society that's worth living.
So, I obviously I agree with all of you, but I want to kind of get to the other part of this, which is just the left's ability to only communicate through threats and intimidation, right? We have them out in the streets of all of these Supreme Court justices' homes, yelling at them, obviously trying to intimidate them. There's a law against that, I'm told. It's supposed to be a felony, yet no cops showed up, right? We had Donald Trump, who, didn't they vote to impeach him for saying that he wanted protesters to peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard? He was impeached for an insurrection, for inciting violence. You have Lori Lightfoot, who I don't know how much more clear you can, like, she literally tweeted out a call to arms, and no one, that's not an insurrection, that's not a problem.
Well, we keep expecting, because people on the right have values, whatever those values may be. Now, I don't, but I know you guys do at the table. People on the right have values, and so we keep being shocked by the fact the communists don't. But they really don't. Yeah. And we have to understand they have their own religion, and they're devout. They have a religion of destruction and death and domination. And that's not just, hyperbole. That's what these people believe. They believe a lot of it's anti-human. They believe humans are a plague upon the earth. They believe a lot of people should die in order to reorder the earth the way they want it reordered. And they don't have these lines that we have. We see them out in front of a Supreme Court justice's home, and the normal reaction on the right is, I'm shocked. This violates norms. Oh, they leaked an opinion. I'm stunned. Why are we always stunned by the valueless person not having any values? These people don't have any values at all. I have said it before, and I mean it. All those communists in the Khmer Rouge, Cambodia, that killed 25% of their countrymen, the average American leftist has the exact same mentality, and if they were in a situation that allowed them to do that, they would do so not only without hesitation, with enthusiasm. They would.
Yeah.
That's who we're dealing with.
And I do want to point out, to Jesse's point, these are not, you're not just like figuratively saying these people are communists. These pro-abortion groups, the ones that have been showing up at churches, have ties. It's called Stand Up for Abortion Rights. This is one of the groups. They literally have ties to the Revolutionary Communist Party.
All these communist groups are, I'm sorry, the BLM groups are on camera.
Yeah.
They're on camera saying we're trained Marxists.
Yes.
Exactly what it is. No, it's like, look, it's something I've been explaining really for years to, you've heard me make this argument out here at the table to both libertarians and conservatives, where, we try to hold people to the other side to a set of standards that we have, but they themselves don't acknowledge. And then we get upset when they beat us at that game. And they'll even use your own set of values. How many times you see these radical sort of atheists anti-God type of people try to say, well, Jesus, that's not how he would act. Oh, you don't even believe in him. So how can you try to, but that's how they're dirty. The analogy I always use is the equivalent to entering in a boxing ring, and you know that the person that you're about to get in a fight with is bought off the judges. He's bought off the ref's on his side. He's already told you his gloves are loaded and he's going to low blow you. And you still go into that fight expecting a fair one, and you going to fight with your hands up straight. Well, you're going to lose that battle because they're not going to fight fair. And I totally understand remaining principled in your stance, but you also have to acknowledge where they're at. I'm all about reciprocity. I know folks love to bring up the fact I'm a little rough around the edges, especially if you watch my show. I'm always cussing these folks out. But that's how you got to handle them. They don't respect me. Why on earth would I show them some set of respect when I know any given time, to your point, if they had the chance? We know. It was like those guys that got mad at us, or mad at me more specifically, when those leftists were beefing with the cops on federal land out there in was it Summer of Love in 2020. And they were like, oh, you're a libertarian. You're supposed to be in there. I was like, it's a gang war. Ain't got nothing to do with me. They would. You think if the cops came and whoop my ass, would they come backing me? Hell no. As soon as they found out what my politics were, they're like, oh no, we need to beat more of them up. So that's my position.
I love it. Real quick, because you're better, brother. You are better, and that's why you can actually do things the right way. I'll say this: sometimes we need to call them on their bluff, and I've said this through COVID. It's time to call the left on their bluff. Lori Lightfoot said it's time to bear arms. Please do. Please do. And let's line up on the battlefield, and you're going to wake up and see that you're in fact the tail, not the dog. You're in fact the minority, the true minority, the little squeaky wheel, because you do not have this massive camp. All you have is a lobby class, and you got a bunch of dogs allowing the tails to wag him, and it's time to stop. They want to call a fight. It's like when a fighter calls you out, and you go, listen, maybe it's time to go teach this dude a lesson. Maybe we step up and say, let's go.
All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to quickly thank our sponsor, Omega XL. So if you guys, maybe you've reached the age, I'm not judging you, maybe you've reached the age where you just wake up and everything is in pain. Maybe it's your back, your knees, your neck, whatever the case may be. What you may not realize is the underlying cause is likely inflammation. And so if you're not defeating the inflammation in your body, you could cause permanent damage. Omega XL is backed by 35 years of clinical research, and it attacks the inflammation that is causing your pain. So if you're taking some sort of a topical cream and you're rubbing it on your shoulder and you're like, wow, that feels really great for 10 minutes, and then you're sore again, don't do that. Omega XL is going to neutralize that inflammation that causes those painful, stiff joints and muscles. It is made from an essential fatty acid combination from the waters of New Zealand. It is natural, but it actually works, and it can change your life if you are suffering with aches and pains. You got to try it. Let's get you started. Order Omega XL now and get a second bottle for free. That is at omegaxl.com/news, omegaxl.com/news. So you have to imagine that, I guess, the motivation to instigate these riots and unrest over the summer would be high if you're a Democrat, because Biden has nothing to run on. The Biden administration is obviously trying to distract from a disastrous economy just in time for midterms, which I guess is why they're trying to make abortion the main point of 2022. Don't think it's going to work out well for them. But I digress. Jen Psaki, poor man's peppermint patty, Jen Psaki, won't even admit that Biden's policies have led to high inflation. Let's listen to Jen Psaki not that long ago. Watch.
In retrospect, were they right that some of the government policies were going to lead to inflation?
I wouldn't say we agreed with them then, and we don't agree with them now. I would note that as it relates to actions like the American Rescue Plan, the alternative to not putting in place and advocating for the American Rescue Plan would have been the economy continuing to spiral, right? We were providing assistance and relief in the form of checks to people who needed that assistance.
No, but if she says right, it makes it right. Duh, those are the rules.
Okay.
So, of course, instead she blamed Vladimir Putin, because we know Vladimir Putin is responsible for everything in this country now. Joe Biden just had a speech earlier today on this particular thing. He said the COVID-19 pandemic, coupled with, of course, supply chain issues, Russia's war on Ukraine, are all to blame for the inflation spike. Has nothing to do with with all of the money that they are printing out of thin air. And he said that the U.S. Federal Reserve should and will do its job to control it. He also tried to direct blame towards the Republicans. So I heard Pete Buttigieg do this when he was on The View or whatever awful, insufferable show with a bunch of leftist women he was on. And he said that Ron DeSantis, he was targeting Ron DeSantis, and he said, he's not doing anything about inflation. And I'm like, are these people really this Are you really going to blame a governor in Florida for not addressing inflation that's coming from your freaking administration? I thought surely that was a screw up. They're not going to do it again. But no, they are. So they are going to pass the buck over to the Republicans, even though they are the ones that are in charge. And I want to get your thoughts on this, gentlemen, but I would be remiss if I didn't play for you some of the, I would say highlights, but really they're lowlights for Joe Biden in his dementia-ridden explanations for inflation. Here's a little montage of that.
Do you believe that you and your administration bear some measure of responsibility for the inflation that we're seeing across the country?
First is we're in power. That's the first thing.
Okay.
And you justifiably right, we control all three branches of the government. Well, we don't really. And I agree with what Chairman Powell said last week, that the number one threat is the strength, and that strength that we built is inflation. You got to be frustrated. I know. I can taste it.
Ugh. Well, that's creepy. You can taste it.
Apparently, he smells a lot of stuff and he tastes them too.
It's the Kamala doctrine.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Sorry, Sarah.
So this is the guy that's leading the country. Nothing to worry about, you guys. I guess maybe silver lining. It doesn't seem to be working. Their tactics. A recent CNN poll showed Republicans still had a 49% to 42% advantage over the Democrats in the coming midterms.
I'll say, to get serious for a moment, I do find it to be a pathetic place to be as a country. That we do have inflation, we do have these high interest rates that are going up, we have all this economic hardship out there that is crushing working people. I mean, I know it's not crushing anyone in the Biden administration, right? And I know, I understand that. I'm not naive, but there's no care for them at all. Nothing. Instead of sitting around having a roundtable like this, you got all these Harvard, Stanford, smarty brainiacs and coming up with, hey, what can we do to maybe ease the pressure on working people who are making, decisions about their lives. People aren't going to see mom. Kids aren't getting Christmas gifts. These things are coming. Yeah. Like serious things are coming. Instead, they sit around and they discuss poll numbers. Hey, well, what about the Putin price hike? I bet that'll pull. Hey, we did a focus group on maybe set aside the poll number. I know that's asking too much for these communist scumbags, but maybe set aside the poll numbers and buzzwords for a minute and say, hey, how can we help people? Because normal people are not only in trouble now, as this recession gets really, really deep, and we're already in one, as it gets really deep, people are going to be crushed, and they don't have it's like they don't have a care in the world about it at all.
To Jesse's point, Eric, there also is this baby formula shortage, right? I mean, moms are really in a bad situation. They cannot find food for their babies. And with all of what Jesse said and that going on, the Democrats are floating, sending, 44 billion, however much it is, to Ukraine to fund the war there.
44 billion.
We have families here that are hurting. We have babies that can't be fed. And what they're talking about is sending more of our money somewhere else.
Look, I will say this. Absolutely, the previous administration is not absolved of the problems with the inflationary issues. But to act like Democrats or Biden's administration had nothing to do with it is hilarious to me. Even more hilarious is that people are looking to the Federal Reserve, people that caused the damn problem, to try to resolve the problem. Look, this is the reality. You've had 40 to 50, maybe 60% of the money supply that's floating out right now, printed within the last years. There's a problem right there. They're all in on it, and they're trying to sit up here and blame everybody else, and it's the same thing. Oh, we have problems. Let's make it worse. Let's just print more of it that we ain't got. Sell off more assets of unborn people, and then give the money out. So your money is being devalued actively, but it's not like the American people are smart enough to realize that you're voting. Oh, it's stimulus? Yeah, give us. Are we actively devaluing our currency? Absolutely. But stimulus package, print more though. Oh wait, Now my money's worth less than what it was before. This is the case. The case every day is being made against democracy because these idiotic chumps get to vote. But also the stupid people are the folks that you referred to. These Harvard-educated Keynesians that come out round table and say, oh, we need to manage the economy even more. We need to deficit spend, debt spend, and this will get us out of this problem. Mm-hmm. This is what got us in the problem. And it doesn't seem like, really what it seems like is everybody aside from maybe one or two Republicans, most of them seem a lean libertarian, that actually have a solution to this problem. Like, I don't know, man, maybe our spending efforts are lending itself to the problem that we have right now. But they're too chicken crap to admit it. And then when it's time, when Chip says, like, you got to make a hard decision. Do we want to keep the charade going, or do we want to end it where it stands? And what did they do? The previous stimulus package, you had a bunch of idiots with R's next to their name go in support on it. Like Rand Paul's like the only one, like, dog, the money ain't there. This is going to have ramifications. But unfortunately, not just the politicians, but your average individual that votes don't understand that.
Yeah. I know we picked the right topics when Eric's just yelling at me.
No, I love it.
Mo's yelling at Sarah, man.
I love it. Yeah.
She's a placebo, basically.
She's an incredible sounding board. And she's tough as nails. Yeah, no, look, I'll say this. Not only is the money not there, but the productivity and the production is not there to back it up. We're not, as a nation, we're not productive as a nation. We're not. But I'll say this to you. The reason they don't care, Jesse, is it does not affect them. Mm-hmm. Because, in fact, it's part of the plan. You must devalue the dollar in order to hit a reset. If the dollar is very strong, if it buys independence for the individual family, right, you can't reset. You can't reset the economic structure, the new world order. You can't bring in the digital dollar, the digital currency, if the dollar is in fact holding its own, if it's strong. So it's by design. Yes, they know what this is doing. Yes, they're printing money like it's monopoly, and they benefit from it. They're fat cats sitting,
banks,
but
absolutely.
They're doing it by design. This is a 1950s, 1945 plan that they're executing on now. They've chipped away at it like an ice sculpture, and all of a sudden this thing is taking shape, and our dollar is about to be worth nothing, and then they're going to step in and say, you know what? It didn't work. We got to save you. We're going to throw you a life raft from the Titanic. Mm-hmm. And the life raft is big government, digital currency, great oversight, controlling your bank account. So it's by design.
Green energy, all
the stupid stuff. So it's by design. So how nefarious is that?
Yeah.
I always say, evil will do evil. A snake will be a snake, to your earlier comment, right? But it's when they know what's right and they then choose evil to create a lower class. That is the ultimate form of nefarious activity, and that's what they're doing. It's by design that they're doing this. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. Coming up next, let's talk about the new Ministry of Truth czar's combat to defeat disinformation. With that being said, I want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile, because, we have this new disinformation czar. We have this entire department within the DHS. You got to wonder what is next. Free speech is obviously under attack, which is why we are proud to partner with Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative cell phone provider. They are very passionate about free speech and your constitutional rights. They offer the same nationwide coverage as the major carriers. Look, it's 2022, so everyone shares the same towers. You're getting the same service. Plus, you get peace of mind that your money is combating the left's attempt to silence you. And like Jesse said, they don't just want to silence you. They just want to eliminate you. They just want to eliminate you. And Patriot Mobile is trying to help you fight back against that. They've got plans to fit any budget. They've got 100% U.S.-based customer support. And they share your values and support organizations that are fighting for things like religious freedom, constitutional rights, sanctity of life, and our veteran and first responder heroes. You got to go to patriotmobile.com/news. You can get free activation with the offer code news. That is patriotmobile.com/news. Everything that we hear from the left these days when it comes to CRT is now that CRT is not being taught. That's just a myth. CRT is not actually being taught in schools. A video from Libs of TikTok just recently posted shows a Massachusetts kindergarten teacher bragging about teaching her students about white privilege and, oh, by the way, mocking parents who actually expressed concern over this. Watch.
Last year I taught entirely remotely, which means all of the parents got to hear all of my teaching, which is very exciting. The other part is that I was teaching remote kindergarten, which is hilarious, by the way. Everyone should try it. And so I did a lesson on white privilege, essentially. I talked about how some people people are treated differently based on what they look like, and all the parents heard it. And I received some emails that were like, wow, that was a really powerful lesson. Thank you for starting that conversation. And then I received some emails that were like, how dare you treat my white child differently? I'm like, was that hard for you? We as teachers need to not feel the weight of teaching these extremely large concepts and feeling like we don't have the ability to do so because we don't know where we can be silenced or should we be silenced.
Okay, well, don't worry, you guys. Don't worry, okay? Because Biden's new Ministry of Truth czar, Nina Jankowicz, said that parents concerned about CRT, if you are a parent who is concerned about CRT, you are actually a disinformer. So you just must be misunderstanding all of this. Here's that.
Critical race theory has become one of those hot button issues that the Republicans and other, disinformers who are engaged in disinformation for profit, frankly, there are plenty of, media outlets that are making money off of this too, have seized on. And I live in Virginia, and in Loudoun County, that's one of the areas where people have really honed in on this topic.
You mean parents have actually gotten active and decided that they don't want these crazy people teaching their children?
I love that they're being honest, and I love that we have all this video. The biggest thing out there, Libs of TikTok is a great one for this. It's not just that they say these things. These people are totally comfortable saying these things on camera and on camera in a public forum. And it's so hard, again, we've talked about this a lot in this show, it's so hard for people on the right to understand because it would never occur to me to see Sarah walking with her children and her husband and say, man, I would love to get a hold of those kids. Teach them about how evil the things Sarah's taught them are. And I'd love to teach them my value. But you know what? I didn't like that. It would never occur to us. We don't think in those terms. And so we can't relate to the fact that that's not how the communist thinks. The communist looks at your kids, and that's exactly what they think. And these people are teaching your kids. They look at me walking down the sidewalk with my sons, and they don't see just two boys. They think, man, I'd like to get them away from him and teach them exactly what I want them to believe. And that is how these people operate. And now we're starting to see it. It's not accidental. They're not falling backwards into teaching your kids to hate you and themselves. They're doing it on purpose.
How many of these people do you think are like actual full-blown communists, and how many are just the useful idiots?
Well, what's the difference?
I mean, there's not, but
the truth is,
not.
if you were to tie like that psychopath with the weird thing in her hair right there, if you were to tie that person to a lie detector test and ask her if she was a communist, she would say no, almost undoubtedly. And she'd probably pass the lie detector test, but they don't realize all they've done is change the language. It's just gone from class warfare to feminism to climate change to Black Lives Matter fills to LGBTQ insanity. They just changed the language to appeal to American values and sensibilities because Americans love equality and we want things to be nice. And so the class war wouldn't work, so they made it cultural. And they don't know they're communists, lots of them, but they are.
And that's what I was getting to, is like these people are so stupid, they don't realize that that's exactly what it is that they're doing.
I think what you see now is just how much, maybe it was it was kind of a long-term kind of infiltration process, but right now they're as cocky as they had ever been because they realize, well, what are you going to do about it? We got all of this power, and you got to understand that. When they go and say something like that, they know, like to your point, they know they're being filmed or that this is a group setting. They already understand that. So to me, that's even more dangerous that these guys are so cocky enough to say, yeah, this is exactly what it is that I'm doing. And we're going to continue to do it. Yeah, they'll gaslight on occasion and act like the chick did, like, well, yeah, it's not happening. Like, well, we know it's happening. You can't just up and say that. But the teachers and the people that are on the ground, they absolutely know what they're doing, and they're doing it purposefully. So this is when I have to pose a question to the people that drop their kids off at these indoctrination camps. If they are cocky enough to tell you what the hell they're doing, imagine what they're doing without telling you. And at what point does it become abuse? When you continue to drop your not-here child there, despite them you knowing that they're going to be teaching you garbage. And that's when it really gets, I like to ruffle the feathers, but that's when it really starts to get uncomfortable for a lot of people, because you got to wonder, what do you attribute to this problem? They've already told us their game plan. They're as cocky as they've ever been. They're telling us exactly what they plan to do to your children. And some people still think that little 15 minutes that you spend with them, at dinner is going to somehow offset all of this indoctrination that they get 8 hours a day, Monday to Friday. You can't do it. You can't do it. And you wonder why your kid comes out tossing a brick in a Starbucks doing the sum of love. You don't think some of those kids came from conservative parents? You crazy as hell. A lot of them came from those. And no matter what your values were, who are they spending more time with? And they're like sponges during that time, and they know that. They really want that next generation. So 100%. While I love that they're telling on themselves, and I love that people are starting, that's the one silver lining with COVID.
Yeah.
People started paying more attention to what was being taught to their children. But at this point, like, what are we going to do about it? That's what I want to know.
Well, COVID was the great indicator of who walks where, right? I mean, you no longer the proverbial masks were off, right? You know, but here's the point, Eric. What concerns me about all this, and Jesse, is what it says about our country and our culture, right? When you have a people like this that can be so bold to go, you're not going to do anything, so I'm not even going to do this behind your back anymore. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and I'm going to tell you why I do it, and I'm going to make fun of you while I do it. That should be very concerning to us as a culture, because we like to say we're predominantly a Christian culture. We like to say we're a culture that likes freedom, liberty, and justice for all. But are we? Are you that if you're not willing to fight for it? Are you, in fact, a real husband and a real man if you will not defend your wife when someone comes up on the street? Are you? She should question whether you are or not if you don't, if you pull your phone out to record the injustice. So what I want to talk about is the real bottom line issue is, as a culture, we are looking really, really weak. As a culture. As a culture, we're looking like a people that do not respect the flag, do not respect freedom, do not understand what this country stands for, what it was fought for, blood that paid for it. We're squandering the greatest gift that we have, which is life. That's what's concerning me, because the left is showing us that you're not going to do anything about it. And then I'll go back to President Trump. So one thing I said in the White House that I didn't agree with, we're the silent majority. Why in Hades is the majority silent? Why? Still, silent majority. Oh, high road. It's time to step into the battle here and take it back, like South Lake, Texas. Parents showed up and said, you're not having our kids. We're taking the school board, the whole thing. You're all resigning. We're throwing you out in the street. The left-wing mob came after them, did nothing. They took the whole city back. They took Frisco back, kicked curriculums out, kicked out CRT, kicked out CSE.
Yeah, just this recent
election
over the weekend was very, very kind to conservative candidates for school boards locally.
Exactly. So, but it only happens when you take it back. It's called redeem it, buy it back. You know, I'm just telling you, it's showing that our culture is very weak, that they're so bold that they'll call it to your face.
We got to get a cultural imprint, and that's what we don't have. People on our general side, like we could sit up here and talk politics, all these people running for office, and we have all that, and that's all fantastic. But culturally, there's almost non-existent. Where are we at? Like, you know, this is what I always talk so much about, and why I focus so much on like entertainment and all of that, because that's where the battle's at.
I want to get to that after the break. I want to get to a couple stories that I think have to do with that. Exactly. We'll be right back. So, Eric, you mentioned, or both of you, all of you were talking about the culture aspect. I want to bring up a couple stories that I saw that just rubbed me the wrong way. Target, the store that pretty much everyone shops at, Target, the Target stores have a 2022 Pride collaboration that features binders and packing briefs from the brand called Tomboy X. In case you guys aren't aware of these are chest binders. So they are for women who don't want their chests to show or grow, and so they bind them because they want to be they bind them because
it's like mutilation on ballerinas' feet.
They want to look more like a man. Yeah, again, I don't know why you would do that to yourself, but they also have the underwear that like has padding to worn to stimulate the appearance and feeling of having a penis. They're including these in all of their stores in a collaboration, on top of Taco Bell announcing last month that it plans to hold a drag brunch at several restaurant locations around the United States. Yes, because when you think of chalupas, obviously you think of drag brunches. So they had to just
7-bean burrito.
enter into the transgender conversation.
Well, one, let's not dismiss the padded underwear. That could be very beneficial for the Democrats. One, that's one. Two, in all seriousness, you want to talk about how far we are gone as a culture. Yeah. This is a major retailer selling physically abusive things for young girls. This is not just for women, these are for young girls.
Yep.
What does it say about our culture that Target is still allowed to operate in the country?
Yeah.
I mean, in all seriousness,
French
and I
retailer.
don't care how small government you are or whatever you believe. If you, in any country in history, if you had a major corporation in that country, and a big part of that corporation was dedicated to the physical and mental abuse of that country's young girls, that corporation would cease to exist. It would cease to exist, and it would cease to exist overnight. I mean, people thought the Florida law and then Florida going after Disney's tax status was extreme. It didn't go near far enough, and I applaud Florida for doing it. You have the largest corporation on the planet dedicated to now sexually grooming young children and openly saying that. No. You fire every employee, you empty the park, you raise every building to the ground, and you build hotels and parking lots on top of it, and you send a message to every other corporation in the country. We are a nation that no longer tolerates the abuse of children, ever.
Yeah.
But instead, we don't do that. Right, we don't do that. Instead, the most frustrating part of this for me is the obvious answer was, well, don't shop at Target anymore, right? So I won't shop at Target anymore. But the right can't do that because we don't love freedom as much as they love communism. We can't stop watching the NFL for more than a week. The NFL takes a kneel for the flag. Everyone on the right comes out and says, I'm done. I quit. I forget. I'm never watching it again. And then 2 weeks later, whoa, did you see that throw from Drew Brees? My fantasy team, baby. If we're not committed enough to even abstain from shopping at Target or going to Disney World, we already lost.
I totally agree. Eric, I also want to point out, this is a company called Tomboy X, so they're admitting that like girls can be tomboys when they're younger. They just want to just not give you the opportunity.
I told you it's not
going to
be a thing. We talked about this on the show last week. Like tomboy, what is that anymore?
Right.
You just want to be, of course, a boy. So we're going to make sure we can make that happen.
Right.
These people are evil. And I agree with the sense that, like, it definitely when there's criminal activity, that's something that's want to be deaded. But with the stuff that we have going right now, a lot of it is criminal, a lot of it isn't, and it's just a slap in the damn face. But to your point, this is literally the point that I've been making for years. Like, the folks on our side are too chicken crap to actually make these people pay economically. Period. Disney. I'm always screaming about, I've been screaming about that since before. Like, dude, of all the mega corporations, Disney's is the easiest one to defund because they don't control anything that you actually need. It's all just entertainment. It's not like they are delivering your goods and your services or
banking.
Banking. They don't do it. It's strictly consumption stuff, entertainment. They have their parks, which they make a significant portion of their money off of, and then they have, of course, their movies and various media and stuff. And Spider-Man, nostalgia bait that they jangled in everybody's face. Toby's returning. We got to go see it. And I was like,
so what?
Oh my God, here we go again. He said, that's gonna be, I promise, it's gonna be my last movie that I'm gonna see. That's a Disney and kind of Sony collaborative effort. Well, this past weekend, Doctor Strange comes out. Well, they're still lining up and making it. This is the one difference, and I'm not going to say I respect the left because they don't respect me. What I will say is that they got more gonads, for lack of better terms, than we do, because they will never, ever fund us, but we fund them. You think they're going to fund the Daily Wire? You think they're going to fund Blaze Studios? Absolutely not. But any given time, we will line up. We will wait in line. I got to take my kids to Disney. No, you don't. Stop. It's an addiction.
We got to take a break. I'm going to keep everyone in anticipation for Yaku's response. I'll let you respond after the break. All right, Yaku, let her rip.
Yeah, no, Jesse. In order for them to do that, what you're saying, for us to restore equilibrium at a leadership, we first have to value life and value this country, which they don't. They don't care. They don't value this country. They want to see it burned to the ground. I agree with you. Let Disney fall. Make it a parking lot. Yes, we need to make content. We all do that. But at the end of the day, every conversation we're having, whether it's Supreme Court justice, whether it is, Ketanji Brown being sworn in and the conversation is child porn, it all comes back down to children. CRT, CSC, comprehensive sex ed, Disney, it's children. It's always children. The left hates the future of this country the way it is. The left hates people. They're selfish. They're all about themselves. They'll eat their own. Hillary Clinton will sacrifice her own family for her own agenda. They don't love life. They don't love Americans. And every American that voted left, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Okay.
Blaze TV contributors, Yaku and Eric, thank you so much. Jesse Kelly, best Twitter out there. You got to follow.